These white students are in the minority here at Alabama State University. Of the 5,500 students on campus, 600 are white, up from 327 a year ago.
Admissions office, may I help you?
And the admissions office is working to increase that number for the next school year. One way the college is trying to do that is with money earmarked for white students.
In the order of Knight v. State, Judge Murphy made available $1 million to help us to make scholarships available to white students. And it was a way to carry out the mandate he saw of integrating the university.
That same court order requires the state to put an additional $15 million into the school's endowment fund between now and the year 2007. Ironically, while Alabama State is using money to recruit more white students, the University of Alabama, the state's premier public institution, has tightened its admission standards. In fact, it says it does not offer free tuition as an inducement to prospective minority students.
There's no other race that they are trying to recruit, just white.
But some black students are saying, wait a minute, and have asked the Justice Department to review the situation. The only requirement for admission is that an applicant have a 2.0 grade point average or a high school equivalency diploma.
Family income is high, of course you're going to receive less financial aid. If family income is low,
the students argue this race-based scholarship hurts prospective black enrollees who meet the same criteria.
They can be admitted, but the problem is that they can't get a scholarship. See, you can, and then it's probation. They have a probationary status where you can come in and say, well, after the first quarter, you must earn a 2-point GPA. Well, once they get that, now they're looking at the financial obligation.
And college administrators admit that while overall enrollment is up at the school, their ability to provide more scholarship money to black students isn't keeping pace.
We have no program that is designed to encourage in any specific way African-American students to come to Alabama State University. That has been our traditional and historic population.
But to some black students, the concern is how long their traditional space will remain available to them. In Montgomery, Alabama, Greg Morrison, BET News.
If race is the most contentious issue in American life, then surely education comes a close second. And often they're really inseparable. Minorities demand not just equal opportunity to go to college, but special opportunity. And to varying degrees, the government has supported that demand. It's an old story, but what happens when the majority is the minority and vice versa? We explain with a visit to Alabama State University in Montgomery. 100 years ago, it was called the State Normal School for Colored Students. In the days of segregation, it kept black students in their place by providing only a limited education. Graduation Day, 1999. Today's graduates receive diplomas in wide-ranging fields of study.
Tarakisha Dubose.
But this look of Alabama State had to change.
Andre McMillan.
ASU was ordered by law to recruit minorities.
Rosemary Heath.
These are the minorities.
Douglas Kurtz.
In 1995, a federal judge ordered the state of Alabama to pay $1 million a year for 10 years to fund scholarships just for white students. Most free education. Although there are black scholarships as well, some students, like Rhonda Turner, Mark Harris, and Corey Muhammad, find the subsidizing of whites offensive.
White universities, their reasons for providing minority scholarships are because of the past injustices and because of the racial environment at that university. ASU has never discriminated against whites.
It was never a situation where blacks didn't want whites to go to school with them. Whites didn't want to come to school with blacks.
The state of Alabama has paid every penny of Richard Livingston's tuition.
What were your grades like? What were your grades like when you were here?
I transferred from Indiana State with a 2.58 GPA.
Is that a C?
Mid-C range.
From what you know, are they pretty smart? They do the work? Capable of doing the work?
Those that I know, yeah. But there has been those that weren't capable of doing the work. A couple that I've seen that were real lazy and shiftless. So you're going to have all kinds, especially with those low standards.
Even whites who came in with top grades, like Karen Heiss, Chris Robinson, and Rosie Heiss, all of whom got free tuition, room, board, and books, learned what it was like to be stereotyped because of skin color.
Someone was quoted in the newspaper as saying, all of the white people here are really just white trash. And when I read it, it really made me angry.
People may from afar look at the white students and say, oh, well, they didn't have the grades to get in, or they're just here because they're on a white scholarship. But once you're actually in class with people and you measure up, they realize that you're not the idiot from off the street that decided to come to ASU.
When they all started at ASU in 1995, the school was still almost 95% black.
Alabama State University.
Being the minority took a little getting used to.
Being the minority, it is like, wow, I stand out everywhere I go. There's nothing that I can do to blend in.
When I first got here, I'm looking around thinking, wow, I'm the only white person in a lot of situations. And then you know what it feels like for people not to talk to you because you're a certain color, or people to look at you and think a certain thing immediately.
Why did you want to come here?
Because it was paid for.
Do you think, any of you think it's unfair?
Yeah, I do. Very. I think that it's definitely unfair that we're here based on the fact that we're white, and we're given money to be here because we're white. However, I wasn't going to pass up the chance to have a free education. I'm not stupid, I just don't think it's fair.
The university did eliminate some of the unfairness when it announced that starting with 1999 freshmen, the scholarship requirements are the same for everyone. But that's not good enough for Jessie Tompkins, a graduate student who says that any scholarship program that excludes blacks is still flat out wrong.
Here in Alabama, we have a program that is designed to discriminate and is state supported.
And that, says Tompkins, is a violation of his constitutional rights, and he's brought in a white conservative lawyer to sue the university.
Jessie had a right to compete for that scholarship on the same terms as any other student without taking the color of his skin into consideration.
The lawyer, Terry Pell, a former official of the Reagan administration, is senior counsel for the Center for Individual Rights, the CIR, a conservative foundation.
The only way to put race behind us is, in fact, to put race behind us.
If you think the president of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Elaine Jones, would agree with that statement, you'd be wrong.
I believe that the Center for Individual Rights has an agenda that is going to move us back toward separate and unequal.
All of the center's previous challenges of racial preferences at colleges have been on behalf of white students who say minorities should not get special treatment.
Are you surprised that the CIR took the case?
Oh, no, Marlon. I'm not surprised. I mean, the CIR has been on a tear to undercut all of the progress that we as a nation have made on the issues of race.
Do you suggest that Jessie has a hidden agenda in all this?
Oh, no. On this one, I'm saying that Jessie is being used.
There are some who are saying you're simply being used by a conservative legal foundation that wants to get rid of affirmative action, and that they're trying to put a black face on this action.
That's outrageous. I am the one that went to CR in order to get help because no other group would help me. The NAACP said, no, we can't help.
And wouldn't help.
If the center is successful in eliminating this scholarship program, what it means is that scholarship programs across the country and other initiatives that encourage African American and brown students to go to school will be eliminated. It'll go beyond scholarships. It'll be admissions, any race-conscious effort.
I think it's the height of hypocrisy to start questioning our motives when these traditional civil rights organizations were unwilling to represent Jessie in a case challenging a racial preference which clearly harms blacks.
In the eyes of many whites who would come to Alabama State University, they will not come because they perceive it as being of an inferior education. That's the perception. And the court is trying to overcome that perception by saying, let's make the scholarships, limited amount of scholarships available so that they can come in a higher education setting.
But what happens in 5 years when the whites' only scholarship program ends.
After these scholarships run out, I don't believe that it's going to be any more diversified than it was before it started.
Because the major incentive to come is still the money.
Of course.
You think that whites will continue to go, pay tuition, do all the things ordinary students do?